Hi, and welcome to Plasma Snake Gaming. I found this game on Steam by surprise. I remember playing it back in 2006 when I got my new computer for the first time in high school, and I found that it was a really good turn-based strategy game, and I remember beating it with the European Union, which is apparently impossible. But Shattered Union, by the way, this is a game title, is a turn-based strategy game that was developed by 2K and a company that sadly doesn't exist anymore to fill a gap of turn-based strategy that they have with Civilization. It is literally a mod of Civ 4, but with a different view of the battlefield, which is a hexagonal view. It also is trying to be Rise of Nations, which is another popular game that was re-released on Steam, which you can also get, as it was trying to be an RTS at the same time. Now, it is turn based, the combat is turn based, and it's also an overworld map, kind of like Rise of Nations is, but with the Civ 5, Civ 4 feeling to it, but with a hexagonal grid instead of a square grid. Now, the game has 7 factions you can play as, and the opening cutscene, which I cannot record because the game is notorious on Steam for just not functioning. The game was designed for PCs that had less than 4 gigs of RAM. I am surprised I can even get to this screen with my 16 gigs of RAM, as well as my 8 core processor and my 3 gigabyte graphics card, but that's way past the point. The game does function to a point. You can't watch the opening cutscenes. You have to change all the options in the settings once it does function. But if it does work for you, it is actually surprisingly a good game. It was set. We'll go here in the campaign, and I'll explain how the campaign works. Also, by the way, play it on easy because this is by far the hardest version of a turn-based strategy game I've ever played, and I've played Civ 5 on one of the hardest difficulties without friends, and this one takes the cake. I'll tell you right now because of this. There are 7 factions fighting over the United States as a basically the game is recreate or not recreating but simulating the second civil war in the United States. Now, it's set in 2014, which is crap because when this video was made it's 2014, but you have to pick a side. There are a bunch of sides. Now, in the storyline, what happens is that Washington D.C. is blown up after a forged election in 2012, and in 2013 during the presidential reinauguration, Washington D.C. is hit with a low-yield nuclear weapon, and it kills all of Congress, kills the president, basically kills everybody but someone who's in a bunker out in Colorado. So the government basically dissolves. What happens is that then California secedes from the Union, becomes the California Commonwealth, and Texas secedes, become the Republic of Texas, taking basically the bottom of Texas with it as well. What happens is that then after that, the rest of the country, Pacifica, the republics, Confederates, and New England, all secede from the Union and try to recreate the Union in their vision. And the European Union, who took over the Washington, D.C. area and parts of Pennsylvania, Virginia, and New York, are attempting to keep the Union together in the European Union's favor, to prevent a economic global disaster which is already underway. Um, they do hint at Russia having a hand in trying to help the Confederacy win as well as the California Commonwealth win, but the game's storyline basically stems from the opening cutscene to this. You just go. Um, you will find hints of who's trying to help who. This game could have been fleshed out more, but here's where it gets interesting. The European Union, which is the British, the French, the Germans, and I believe the Scandinavia, and whatever you get when you read the units, they'll tell you who they're where from what. They're the most interesting faction to play as, but by far the hardest faction to play as because they are only a holding force. They only have troops, infantry. You'd have to build your tanks, you have to build your air force, you have to build gas mines, you have to build repair units. It's very difficult to play as them to begin with. Near the end of the game, they are the most formidable because they basically have to play defense until the end of the game, where they can basically bulldoze a bunch of people. But beginning of the game is easiest to play. The most well-rounded country is the Confederacy. They have a little bit of everything. even repair and gas. They're the ones you'd pick if you want to pick the I have a little bit of everything class. The one for bulldozing people with gasoline and basically just having to make friends is the Republic of Texas. They have all the gas, they have money, they have an air force, they have a little bit of troops, and they have tanks. They have mainly gas. So your trick is to basically offer gas to other factions and become their friends and then let them do all the work and then take them out when they're not expecting it. California is army based basically with no gas. So they basically have to take out Texas instantly in order to get gasoline. The Pacifica has a little bit of everything, but no tanks. Their best to do is become friends with people, then take out someone when they're not paying attention. Same thing goes for the Great Plains Republic. They have a lot of defense, a lot of repair. Their trick is to hold out and hope they can make friends with somebody who has stuff they need. Whereas the New England Alliance has a great army, has good air force, no tanks, great money. Their trick is to take out the European Union very quickly, take their army and their money, and then move on the south. Basically avoiding the Great Plains at all costs because of their defensive strategies. Now, this is what I ask you as the people who watch my channel. I can record this and I can show you the game, but I want you to pick a faction. I don't know who I should play as. I've beaten the game with the European Union and gotten the good ending. It is by far the hardest one to do, so I pray you don't pick that. But I'm from New England and from Pennsylvania. I would pick the New England Alliance if you'd like me to, but it's up to you. Through your comments, please choose who you'd like me to play as. I'm up to suggestions. Currently, there are no videos really about the gameplay or the actual game itself of Shattered Union, and since I'm one of the few computers that can run this, I would love to showcase it for you, as you will notice it is very much Civ 5 with a lot of problems. And since it's another 2K game, you can see where 2K looked at this and said, all right, Shattered Union did some really good things, but it didn't really pan out. I think we should put some of these in Civ 5. And you'll see them as I'm playing, that, have an animation for people fighting when you do things, have a hexagonal grid, make there multiple options to winning things other than in combat, other than doing this, and I think it is something that needs to be put on YouTube and pointed out that Civ 5 is only good because of the original Civs and mistakes made by 2K, such as this. And since 2K is trying to go back to its roots with XCOM, with the next Civ coming out, this is a great way to look back at their past and see, here's where they made a mistake, but here's how they capitalized on it anyway. So, so like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see which faction you guys pick. Stay tuned for more videos such as Shadow of Mordor on high, because I can't run on ultra because I don't have an awesome graphics card that just was released. And look forward to The Evil Within, which will be in October. And look for Jumper, our editor, to be adding more things in the upcoming months and days. Alright, so thanks for watching Plaza Snake Gaming, and please comment on which faction I should choose.